Welcome to Talking with Sapna. Today we're talking about starting school and how to help your child through this transition period. We've obviously gone through a year where things are different. There's this new COVID normal, they haven't been at school as much, and for those children starting prep and even moving to year 7, there's a lot that they didn't get to experience and enjoy around this process of actually transitioning and moving from one stage to the next stage. And so I thought it was really important for you as parents to know what are the different ways that you can support your children through this transition period, even though we haven't had the proper transitions that are usually there. And there are different elements to supporting children through transition periods. They go through many periods of transition in their childhood, but the two really key ones are starting school and then starting high school. One of the key things that I find really important during transition periods is to talk about emotions. To really open that discussion, to make it okay for them to feel nervous or worried. And to talk about, well, if you're feeling this way, what's going to help you through it? What strategies can we put into place to support you? The more we talk about emotions openly, and the more that the children actually tune into what they're feeling, the more you as parents are able to actually help brainstorm different strategies to work through that. And sometimes what you'll find is, especially for those children who are transitioning to prep, is they might not know what they're feeling or how to articulate it. And so in this situation, it's really good for you to then talk about your experience of starting school. And of course, if you can remember different elements of it, but very much talking about how you felt. What were the things you were looking forward to? What were you worried about? To really model to your children that it's okay to feel a bit nervous or worried, but it's also okay to be excited. And to really break down, what is it that you're looking forward to? What is it that you're not looking forward to so much that we can help you through, that we can work on before you actually start school? But also for those children starting prep, maybe it's something that you need to communicate with the school, that this is something my child is feeling a bit hesitant about, so it might be something they need help with next year. And really opening that communication between you and your child, and then also you and the school. The other element of it is, as we start to talk about our emotions and things we're excited about or nervous about, sometimes what you might notice with your children is that their expectations might not be realistic. They might have glorified the process of starting prep or even starting high school, or they might have made it seem worse than what it will actually be. And so when you start these conversations, what it allows you to do is also start to put things in perspective for your child. To really take some of that and set those expectations that are clear and realistic. And so it allows you to step them through the process. Because quite often, if your child is thinking about it, especially in that transition to high school, there's so much to think about. We're going to start school and we're going to have different teachers for different classes, and how do we make friends if we don't know who's going to be there? And their minds are just moving at 100 miles per hour. And so it's about really stepping back and going one step at a time, one thing at a time. And even for our children starting prep, it's about going, just have to go and meet your teacher and get to know them, and then you'll get to know everybody in your class, and then you can play with different people, and then you'll learn who you want to play with more and who you might want to play with less. And so it's really breaking down this process into really realistic, sizable pieces that allows them to stay calm through the process and to know what's coming each step of the way. It's the uncertainty that can often create those feelings of nervousness or worry. So when we can really break it down, it helps to get your children through that process. Now, for children starting prep, they're going to have transition, they're going to do activities online, and we know it's going to be a bit different. But it's really getting them to engage and to enjoy the process for what it is. But every step of the way talking to them. What did you enjoy about that? Are there any questions that you have? If there's something you could ask your teacher, what would it be? And really encourage that dialogue to happen. Because that's one of the key things when we talk about transition. We want to open the conversation so your children feel comfortable asking you any question, but also asking the teacher any question. So when you're having these conversations at home and talking about the different emotions coming up and talking about the expectations and the different steps to getting them school ready, then it allows your children to really open up, to connect with you, to share ideas about what they need to know next. And when you know that, even if you don't have the answer, it's something that you can talk to the school about. Or it's even something that you can come and engage in my services for, because it's something that I can help you through. Quite often what it is about transitioning from one stage to another is you don't know what the next stage is going to look like. So even the process of talking to your child about what a day in school might look like, and they'll talk about this in the transition session, but helping them understand that. One of the strategies that can be really useful for this as well is for you to actually have some practice days of this with your children. So getting them up early, getting them dressed, ready to leave for school and be there by 9 o'clock, but mimicking the process that they'll go through and talking to them. You'll get to school, you'll talk to your teacher and take the role, and then you'll do some learning, and then you'll have recess, you'll do some more learning, you'll have lunch, and then a little bit more learning, and then you'll come home. And when you practice these things with them, all of a sudden it starts to take away any nervousness they have about it. They're like, oh yeah, we can do that. We know how the school day works. We know what it's going to be like in the morning. You know, even packing a lunchbox, even if they're just at home, pack that lunchbox for them and replicate as much as possible what it might be like at school. What it does is, with those basic routines, it gives them confidence in them. So then that's no longer a concern they have, and they can focus on the other areas like getting to know their teacher well and understanding how learning is different in school than it is from kinder, and also how to make friends. And so for us to really help your children to transition from kindergarten to prep, it's just one step at a time. Talk about the emotions, talk openly about whatever's coming up, and talk openly about your experiences in school. Talk about what concerns you had, but how you dealt with them. The more you open up and talk about things, the more you model them, the more you're opening the door for your child to also learn from that, but ask questions when they need to. And in this transition to school, that's the most important role you play as a parent. To provide that safe space for them to ask questions, to express their emotions, and to learn strategies that they can use to help them. And remember, starting school is a huge transition for everyone, the children, but also you as the parents. It's a different way of operating, it's a different routine. They're going to come back exhausted at the end of the day, which means emotions are going to be heightened. And that's okay, and that's normal. So remember, for you and for them, one step at a time, transitions are difficult, but also they are something that everybody can work through when you acknowledge the emotions going on, when you talk openly about experiences, and when you manage expectations.